Alright guys, I'm going to change a tire today, and I'm going to replace a spoke in a Freeride wheel. So you can see I broke one right here. I hit a big lava tube, just a big round rock hole in the ground, and I think it cracked it and then it popped while I was riding, so we're going to do that. So first thing we do, pull the valve core out. I just did that before I decided to film. And then I'm going to loosen up the rim lock. I'm going to take that most of the way off, push it in, make sure it's free. And we're going to, this is a really easy tire to change, and I'm going to put on the world's hardest tire after it. So go around here, push the tire away from the rim to break the bead. And use your knee. You can see I'm doing it on the ground. I don't have any special tools. So you can see how that's broken away. So I usually bring 3 tire irons to the table. I got these little Motion Pro smooth ones and one Motion Pro that's kind of sharp edged that I don't like to use as much. I like to use as smooth the tires as irons as possible, so that it just doesn't like kind of cut into the rubber on the bead if it's really tight, like the one that I'm going to remount is. So there's that. And the other thing I like to use, I have this little trail bead buddy. They make the regular size bead buddies they're really helpful, but these are kind of nice. They're not really necessary, but if you're new to it, putting a couple bead buddies on your tire is definitely going to help you out. So I don't really care where I start, but I usually start somewhere around where the rim lock is. You'll notice I'll probably do this process mostly with one tire iron, just because if you can't do it with one, you're probably doing it wrong. We'll get started here. And the other key to changing tires is lots and lots of lube. I actually don't have any lube, so it's going to be weird. You're going to be seeing me using Great Value glass cleaner. So to take the bites on the tire, make sure that you've got this side down into the drop center. You don't want the bead on the rim at all. You want it to be broken away from the rim. So that gives you the slack pulling on this side. So anyway, just get a couple of those in there, and it'll start to peel up real quick. No real effort at all. You can see how it's loose there. At this point, a lot of people will pull out the tube, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Doesn't really matter where you do it from, just grab some. So, tube's out. And then at this point, here, this is where lots of lube is your friend. Which I have 0 on there right now. No, I'm fighting the rim lock too. Alright, tire's off. You can see I've got black tape around my rim there. So I'm going to have to get underneath of that and put some new stuff on there so that I can get to the spoke head that's hiding underneath here. Alright, so we got rim tape cup. I'm going to peel that off. And swipe everything out. Alright, so we got all the heads exposed. One's okay. Here's where it fell out, or broke. That's where the one broke. So go ahead and get the inside of your rim here all nice and cleaned up. You don't want this corrosion and stuff rotting your spokes out. And I'm in a super corrosive environment here, so you can inspect your rim for other cracks and whatever else. else sounds too weird in there. Alright. Got a brand new spoke in here. Got a couple extra just in case when I ordered. A couple extra nipples. That way if you break a spoke and your dealer doesn't have them, because it's a Freeride wheel, they're probably not going to have one. Feed it up through there. Head's all nice and flat. Put it in. They do have a special spoke wrench. You could probably use some sort of a, I don't know, 6mm wrench or something, I imagine, but my guess is that I probably over tightened the spokes a little bit last time I tightened them up, and the aluminum when I hit that just didn't really give and popped the head off. Looks like I'm really tight with it, but I'm just going by feel. Okay, so we got our brand new spoke in. Now we're gonna do the rim tape, and normally I probably would use a rim strip or something, but I'm putting on the world's hardest tire here, so I want to make sure that I have as much space to work with inside the tire as possible. Lay down some Super 33 electrical tape. This is the much stickier stuff. It's quite a bit more expensive than your just garden variety black tape. And I don't stretch it as I'm going around. I just lay it in there nice so that the adhesive will lay straight down. So I get a strip out, I let the tape relax, and then I go back over it. And I'll usually do 3 rows, one down the center, one slightly to the side, and one slightly to the other side. Just barely enough tape, literally to the inch enough tape. I did not plan that. Go through, rub this all down, get it all stuck together. An argument against this would be it would seal water in, but I don't know. I don't care. I change it enough, doesn't seem to be a problem. Alright, so next step, putting on the new tire. Grab your rim lock, make sure all this stuff is pretty clean. Any dirt and stuff that you have inside the rim, or old tire rubber or whatever, all that stuff is just abrasive in there, and it'll help thin your tube out. So just get it all off there. Like I said, I'm in a little bit of a rush, so I'm gonna take the world's most time here. And on the rim lock one, I'm just gonna shove it through the hole. Just break it through the tape. Oops, that was kind of a bad job. Alright, next time make a cut. On your bike, make a cut. Go to the other hole. Just make a little cross slit here. Actually, screwed up. That's the rim lock hole. Boy, I really botched that. That was a bad job. Sorry, it's really hot out here, guys. Really hot. Now, we're gonna get our Impossible tire here. And we're gonna soak it down with some cleaner. And since it's actually cleaner, I'm going to clean some of this dirty stuff out of the bead. Might as well do it on the other side. This might seem weird, but I'm gonna put some inside there so the tube slips around a little easier. Probably would and use talcum powder if I had some. Alright, so I'm gonna take the rim lock with the downside and put it inside the wheel like that. And we're gonna slide this on. And this tire is hard in hell to mount. I've never mounted a tire so hard in my life. This thing is a total son of a bitch. Make sure the rim lock's out of the way. And then start sliding this thing on. See if I can spin this so that you guys can see it. I don't have a fancy tire stand. All that stuff makes it much easier, but I don't have one and I don't have space for one, so doing it this way. This does hurt your knees. Much easier with tire lube. Alright, so this one's gonna be a bugger. Gotta peel up some space so you don't scratch your rim. Man, this tire's tight. And then take little bites. Little bites. So I'm putting downward pressure and then pushing over at the same time. Man, hopefully I can push that on. Like one more bite there. Come on, baby. Got it. Downward pressure. And slide on. Yeah, look how easy that was. Look how easy that was. Like I said, I'm varying with my technique a little bit here than I usually do because this tire is so tight. This is actually a smaller tube too. I swore I would never remount this tire ever again, and here I am remounting it. So we're gonna feed this thing in with our fingers. Normally I would put the tube on the wheel first and then put the tire on, but there's not enough space. So this one has to be done differently. And if you have a direction, make sure that you're going in the right direction. Probably should have told you that beforehand, but I always put the valve stem opposite of the logo. Got it lined up. Now I'm going to try and fish this tube in there with my fingers, which I do not like doing, especially on a tire this tight. Try and lay it in there flat so it doesn't rumple up. And I have the valve core out of the tube right now. And try and do a flat area for a ways so that you can actually move it. So tight. I don't know how good this is going to look on the camera, but oh man, got it. All right, this is where you need a nut. Oh, knees are getting sore already. Wear knee pads. That's another benefit of tire stand. You can see how screwed up my hands are. Just part of the game. So screw the nut on. Not super tight, but enough so that the tube doesn't move. And when you're putting it in there, when you get to the rim lock, try and make sure that it goes over top of the rim lock. Whew. It's actually going easier than last time, believe it or not, so far. I'm gonna adjust the wheel to get the valve stem relined up. You can see how it wiggles back and forth there, hopefully. So I'm going to get it lined up, tighten it down a little bit more. And then I'm going to use my tire pump to blow the tube up a little bit right now. Alright. Just pop the whew. Okay, here's the fun part. Rim lock is free. The key is to use the slack from the opposite side of the tire. You move the tire this way on the opposite side that you're working on. So it's pushed this way. It's called the drop center. You have this lump here in the rim. You want the rubber from the tire to go down inside of that, which gives you that 1/2 inch of slack over here to work with the tire irons. So the key is, while you're putting it on, that on the back side also, the rim doesn't go on like it is right now. This is why this one's such a bugger, because it's low profile and it falls onto the rim. So this thing is basically already beaded up. So we got to make sure it's unbeaded so that it'll go down inside. You can see right here when I squeeze with my hands, the tire goes back inside there. That's the main thing with tire changing that people miss the point on. This part has to go down in there so that you have more space on this side, right? So no matter what side of the tire you're working on, you want that slack. And that's kind of where the bead buddy comes in too. And I might actually even put the bead buddy on the back side when I'm mounting this. I've never done that before, but maybe that'll help free up the slack I need. So I think I'll push it in right there. And the bead buddy keeps the bead from beading up. So if we can install that right there, that will help me get the slack I need on that other side to get going. So I'll put the bead buddy right next to me, right next to my body. And make sure that that's shoved over. And then use some real slippery soap stuff. This glass cleaner is not ideal. I'm not endorsing glass cleaner to do this, but it's literally the only soap I have. I don't know what the hell's going on in my house, but I got no soap here. So very gently put the tire iron, and I'm kind of starting a little bit away from the rim lock here. I'm like basically I usually finish towards the rim lock so I can push the rim lock up and drop the tire in there. So I'm starting a little bit away from it, and just take a little bite. And this is where it's just kind of handy to have 2 tire irons. Here's my other favorite one at. I'll use this one. And then just get a couple of initial bites and then throw your body up onto that thing, because that's going to give you the slack that you need. I do not like this tire iron. Hopefully I'll slide where you guys can see me. And hold that with my knee. I'm lifting the tire up so I don't scratch the rim. Alright, we got that first bite in there. Lock this other side here. On this tire, I don't really have that much of a method. I just go with the path of least resistance. This is a very, very tough tire to mount. And just make sure that you don't get the tire iron underneath and pinching the tube on the other side. Now I'll move the bead buddy to this side because I'm working on that side. And the back side is the problematic side. I'm actually putting it on the back side. This is not regular. Normally it'd be on the other side. But I've got to hold that. You see how the logos goes down inside like that? I've got to hold that back side so I can get the slack on this side. Sweating my ass off. Hard for you guys to see, I'm sure. Hold these hard with my knees. I'm going to peel this up and lift the rim lock as I'm doing it so that it goes underneath the rim lock. Hook the rim, not too much. Alright, we're past the rim lock. Next one, very, very carefully. Actually gonna remove that. Now we're going past the valve stem. Very, very carefully go past the valve stem. Alright, so of course the camera battery died. Anyway, we're here at the valve stem. Be very careful here at the valve stem, because especially if you have the nut screwed, it will be very, very close to the tube. So nice and easy, just small little bites to get past there, and keep holding with your knees. And my soap's drying up, of course. Lube is key. So we'll do one more little bite here. And I told you I was going to use one tire iron, but this tire is a mega bitch. One little one over here. How our drop center's doing. Damn thing is falling inside the rim again. So reach under here to the back side. Make sure that the tire stays pushed in. Like I said, this is way harder than yours will be because I put this extra small tire on here. It is wicked small. There's just no room for anything. This is by far the hardest tire I've ever mounted in my life. Way harder than mounting a moose. Alright, I'm away from my bead buddy here, so I'm going to take that off. It's probably hindering me at this point. So the tension is on this one, so I'm going to hold that one with my knee and remove this one. Very, very small bites at this point. Oh my gosh, that's tight. You can see over here the logo is completely missing, so that's how tight this tire is. Tiny, tiny bites. Just let it slide on. Patience, patience, patience. Boink. Woo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a bugger. Let's bounce it to kind of reseat the bead in there a little bit, shake things up. I know that's kind of the point of putting air in it. So before you beat it, get some soap down into the bead so it can slide on nice and easy and beat up properly. I'm just going to watch this thing pop all the way around. Perfect. Slid all the way around. Pump 20 or so pounds in there. Double check the other side. Bead is perfect. Bead is perfect. Seems to be holding there, so it doesn't seem like we popped the tube. And then let it all out. Find our valve core. Valve core's tight. I'm going to run this up to about 20 psi or so again. Alright. You got the air in it. Tighten down the rim lock. I think these are about 10 foot-pounds. If you tighten these too much, they can actually bend your rims a little bit, so just good and tight, nice and snug. And then unscrew this nut, and you could run the nut, but when you put your valve stem back on, or your valve cap, you put your valve cap back on, you want to run the nut up against the valve cap. So if you don't do that, if the valve stem slips, it can rip off your tube if it's fixed in one place with the nut holding it down. Doesn't happen very often, but if it was to slip, it can twist the valve stem and rip, and you've probably seen your valve stem twisted before, so that could be a failure. I have seen it out on the trail, so I don't actually run the nut, I run the little rubber mud guards. But if you have to do an emergency tire change, the nut can be helpful, but I'm not doing emergency tire changes, so I screw these little mud guard things on, keep mud out of the rim, and then I'm going to change the tire pressure later, so and just put the valve cap on top of that. So there you go, guys. There's a tire change to the world's hardest tire to mount. I don't see myself doing any kind of like off-road enduro-y type riding, so I took my JX8 Dakota off and I put this intermediate terrain CST Surge back on. It's low profile, and yeah, I'm gonna do some moto style riding on the Freeride. If you like these tire weights, check the link in the description, and maybe I'll put a link to the description to this tire also. But it is a bear to mount because it's lower sidewall. Makes it feel like the Freeride has a 19-inch wheel on it. There's no sidewall roll. Very, very hard rubber on the knobs, wears like steel. So that's kind of good and bad. It holds up well, but it doesn't quite hook the ground up as well. But that's all I have for you today. Take care.